Toronto Maple Leafs GM Brad Treliving speaks out on his recent trade deadline acquisitions, as well as this NHL prospect is slept on, and I'll break it all down for you coming up on this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we get into it, just want to say, if you're one of the thousands of people watching this that aren't subscribed, make sure to go down below and subscribe to the channel for your daily dose of NHL content. We'll be here every day bringing you updates, rumors, and everything that's happening around the league and around the world. So you're going to want to stay tuned for it by going down and hitting that subscribe button. But with that said, let's go into the first topic of the video today, which is Treliving speaks out about deadline deals. And obviously, Brad Treliving, I think, made some great acquisitions here around the deadline with Lyubushkin, Edmondson, even Cade Weber, I think, is going to pan out in the future. I think he had a very great deadline with, kind of the cards that he was dealt with the cap that he had in his hands. I think he made some great acquisitions here for this team on the blue line to put them in a successful position for this upcoming playoff run. But he did have a recent interview with The Athletic where he did talk about the deadline. He talked about, what his plans are for the rest of the season, stuff like this. And I'm going to get into it here now. And he says, if you look at us really from December 1st on, we've been a stingy team. He said, and now in the same period of time, in terms of the expected goals, we've been a top 5 team. Those things, I don't think it's by accident. He says, in addition, Treliving has contributed a lot to the team's success to improvement internally of their goaltending position, in particular the drastic jump in the quality in Ilya Samsonov's game. And we do get a quote from here talking about this. He says, I just think he's a good goalie. He didn't forget how to play. He was going through a rough patch. It wasn't like you're like, oh my god, his game's no good. You could tell a lot of stuff was all mental with him. So Brad Treliving, what did he do here? He obviously gave this guy time to kind of find himself, find his game, and it's really worked out here for the Toronto Maple Leafs since he come back. Samsonov has been playing phenomenal hockey. He's been back to the Ilya Samsonov we all know and love here in Toronto. And a big part of that goes to Brad Treliving, as well as the coaching staff and goalie coaches within the Maple Leaf organization. I think, they got this guy's headspace, get him right in the right headspace again, where, the mentality was there to go out and win every game. And once those wins started coming, he started building more and more confidence to now being a great goaltender again for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We also do see here, this was when it comes to trade deadline acquisitions, Brad Treliving targeted the blue line as an area of need within the team. During his time speaking with The Athletic, Treliving said their defense might not have the best high-end talent, but believes their depth is unmatched. He says, we may not have the best top 4 on defense, but if you go deep, we wanted to make sure 7, 8, and 9 were better than anybody else's, so we don't have that big drop. He also says here, with the trade deadline coming and gone, Brad Treliving says he gets to take more of a backseat with trades and signings done for the season. He can be a fan just like everyone else on game night. While this is true, Treliving confirmed in an article by Maple Leafs Daily, he is still putting in plenty of work for the future, watching potential NCAA free agents and draft picks once their season concludes. Maybe we may see Treliving and the Leafs sign one of these NCAA guys, especially Cade Weber, who I did talk about yesterday. I think this is one guy that we will see signed here very soon. But he does say, you're out seeing more games that last couple of weeks before the deadline. You're focused in on the NHL team and what you maybe do with the deadline and how do I fill this hole a little bit more. Really, you feel like you're just a cheerleader now. Obviously, the work is done here for Brad Treliving. He has put a mark on this team in just such a short amount of time here to put this team in a successful position for the playoffs and to, add that West Coast vibe to the team, that gritty, vibe to this team that in a playoff series is really going to come in helpful, in my opinion. But when you look at Brad Treliving's year here, I think you have to give him a good grade here. I think he's done great work here in Toronto in just a short amount of time. He was kind of thrown into the fire here a little bit once he was signed. He had to deal with Matthews' extension, and then he had to deal with a Nylander extension. Still has to deal with Marner and Tavares next season, but he kind of had a little bit of money to work with, and he did make some great signings with this. I think bringing in Bertuzzi on a 1 year was a great acquisition for him. I think he's played phenomenal, and as of late has been playing even better for this Toronto Maple Leafs team. And also Max Domi, I think, was a great signing for him as well at, a lower cost. I think having him in to run that second, third line wherever they've been putting them and sliding up and down the lineup this last little while, I think he has made a great mark on this team by, bringing that physical edge, bringing, a little bit of, point production for this team throughout the lineup. And I think this was a solid signing as well. Another player like Bertuzzi, who is, gritty, grinder type guys who are just going to go in there, beat on other offenses, but also produce on the offensive side as well. But, I mean, you can't talk about the John Klingberg one. I really liked this signing when it did happen. I think, unfortunately, he did go out on LTIR with a hip injury and all this. But I think if he stayed healthy and stuff like this, I think people will be talking to him about this as a great signing, because I think, obviously he was slumping a little bit, but he never really had the time here to, go out and prove that, he belongs to this lineup and put his, stamp on his time as a Maple Leaf. And I really hate to see that, because I really like John Klingberg, and I really think he would have been a great, quarterback for this second power play here in Toronto, and I think he would have made a lasting stamp here come playoff time. But unfortunately, with LTIR, and I believe he had hip surgery and stuff like this, that we won't be able to see this. But I mean, I do rank this signing as it's a big question mark of what have happened, but I think it is a great signing that if it had to come into fruition and he didn't go away with injury. Obviously, this is all a big question mark, though I think everybody will be looking at this as a solid signing. But like I said, Treliving was tossed into the fire here. He did what he could do with this team, and I think he's done a really phenomenal job with what he's done here in his short amount of time in Toronto. And when it comes to the trade deadline, I think with that Klingberg injury and stuff like this, they were kind of reeling, trying to find a defenseman to kind of fill this role, and look like Brad wanted to bring that snot-nosed grit defender in. So what did he do? He brought in a couple. He brought in Labushkin, he brought in Edmondson, brought in Cade Weber, who is in the NCAA, but will could be a potential future third pairing defenseman for this team. But he brought in multiple guys to improve this depth, to so that, you can rotate them in and out. Obviously, Gio and all these guys are great, but, you got Edmondson and Labushkin now who can kind of rotate in and out of this lineup and really make an impact here for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, I mean, overall, I really do like Brad Treliving's season here, but what's going to happen here coming this offseason is really what we're going to see, Brad Treliving make put his stamp on this Toronto Maple Leafs team. He has about, I believe, $20 million to work with here, if they don't re-sign anybody, stuff like this, if for free agency. So this will be, really what it comes to. Will, they bring guys like Minton Cowan in? Will they sign, some free agents? Obviously, I think they will sign some free agents, but will they sign those free agents to fill those roles? It will really be interesting to see what Brad Treliving and the Toronto Maple Leafs front office plan to do here in the offseason. Now, I'm so here for it, because I love what he's done to this team. I love that he's kind of made this Toronto Maple Leafs team a West Coast team, so when they go into the playoffs, they can kind of beat up on their opponent, and in a 7-game series, they're going to be tough to beat. And like I said, I'm a really big fan of what Brad Treliving has done here in Toronto. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about Brad Treliving's season? What do you think about the comments he's made? I think he's done some great work here with Samsonov, putting him, giving him his time to kind of, get in the right headspace again and making these trades, making these signings. I think he's had a great season here in Toronto. But I want to hear from you guys down below. We're going to get into our second topic of the video today, which is Matvei Michkov is slept on. And yes, I know a lot of you guys may have forgotten about Matvei Michkov, but, I mean, this guy was 7th overall pick in this last draft. He was, projected at one time to go number 1 to the Montreal Canadiens, but did slide back to Philly at number 7. And I know a lot of you guys may be wondering, how is Matvei Michkov doing in the KHL this season? And this is what we're going to talk about here. And as we take a look at Matvei Michkov, 19-year-old right winger, has been playing some center over in the KHL, but so far, the season is concluded over in the KHL now. In 47 games with Sochi Hockey Club, he put up 19 goals, 22 assists for 41 points. I think this is phenomenal for only a 19-year-old playing in a league with a bunch of men to kind of put these numbers up for this club, and I really think he's going to be a great addition for the Philadelphia Flyers whenever he chooses to come to North American ice. But as we see here, a little breakdown of his game this year says, when the pucks slid behind defenders and below the hash marks of the offensive zone, Michkov continued to display elite puck touch and playmaking ability. He's slippery and creative. His hockey sense, making himself available in high danger areas in the offensive zone, is fantastic. The puck seems to find him when the play moves into prime scoring areas of the ice. And we're just going to look at a little comparison here. And they're comparing him to Sergei Fedorov. They say Fedorov is an incredible stick handling and creativity. Just watch one of his highlight videos. He said, but on top of that, he has ridiculous shooting ability. On top of it all, he had moments where jaws would hit the floor with some of his passes and setups. That's not to say Michkov will be the next great Russian hockey player, but he does look like Fedorov with some of his plays that he pulls off and how incredible his shot is. And if Matvei Michkov turns out to be anything similar to Sergei Fedorov, I'm sure Philadelphia Flyers fans will be happy. But I really like this guy. I think he's a great prospect here for the Philadelphia Flyers. Obviously, I was really locked into him when he was projected to go to the Montreal Canadiens, and it seems like this year, he hasn't missed a touch. He's had his best season in the KHL by far at 19 years of age. And I think, if he comes over next season, maybe the year after, with a little bit more development under his belt, I think he's going to be a phenomenal player here in the NHL. And like I said, I think he is slept on. I think a lot of people are not talking about this guy because he's not in the NHL right now. You got Connor Bedard and Leo Carlson and Reinbach are now making his way over to the AHL. Matvei Michkov is kind of sliding under people's radars right now, and I think he's having a phenomenal season in the KHL, and his shooting ability is just unmatched. I think when he comes over, he's going to be a great goal scorer here in the NHL, but it's not just his goal scoring, it's his playmaking ability, it's his ability, to stick handle like nobody else and kind of leave defenders in the dust at times. He's not going to blow by you with his speed, but by the time he does come over and as he matures a bit more, his skating ability will develop a lot better, and he will be a great skater by the time he does travel to the NHL. I think it's just, with age, you get better at skating, you're on your edges a little bit more and stuff like this. But I really do think that Matvei Michkov is going to have, another great season in the KHL if he does play again next year. Or maybe we will see him make his way over to this Philadelphia Flyers team, because I think a top line of Morgan Frost with Matvei Michkov on the right wing would be disgusting, because obviously Morgan Frost is a great playmaker, and if he could feed, Michkov, or the other way around, Michkov could feed Morgan Frost, I really do think this would generate a tremendous amount of offense for this Philadelphia Flyers team, who's already looking great. And I think if you bring him in, I know there was people had a little bit of issues with his attitude and stuff towards the draft, where he went to some teams and say, hey, I don't want to be drafted here and all this stuff. But if you bring him in under coach of John Tortorella, I think this will really, get this guy in check and really get him dialed in here in his first year pro. I'm really excited on this guy. I think he has so much potential, and I think he's going to be a great player here in the NHL once he makes the crossover. I mean, we've seen guys like Panarin and guys like this come over from the KHL, Kaprizov as well, with similar numbers. So if he can have even a little bit of that much impact coming over from the KHL, this will be a tremendous pick by the Philadelphia Flyers. But I want to hear your comments on Matvei Michkov down below in the comment section. We're going to get into everybody's favorite topic here, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Matthew. He says, I think Ovi really needs a quick playmaking center. And if you missed the video yesterday, we did talk about Alex Ovechkin making history yet again. But I definitely had to agree with you here, Matthew. First off, just want to say, really appreciate your comment and support on the video here yesterday, but like I said, I really have to agree with what you're saying here. I think maybe bringing a playmaking center with Ovi could really get him over to scoring a lot more goals, and I think he's going to break the record. I really do think he will break it over the next couple of years, but even bringing a speedy playmaking center to play with him would be really great. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road for 3,500 subscribers here on the channel. So if you love hockey, just like all of us here, make sure down below, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to check out that video we did yesterday on Alex Ovechkin, make sure to check it out. It'll be popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I've been your host, KC. Keep your stick on the ice.